Hello, hello. This is something a little bit different. Since the Railroads Online series is finished, I am streaming running actual trains. Still figuring out the camera setup, so that's not ideal, but hopefully it'll work for this stream and we can figure out a better one next time. So I have... Hello, Eagle Point Rails. I have the main camera, which is my phone, set up to cover the part of the layout that the drive-in theater is on. And on the drive-in theater, I have a feed from another camera, which is over there, filming that part of the layout. So we have two camera angles, sort of. Hello, that simulator guy. I'm doing good, Eagle Point. I've been working on doing makeovers on some of the Westport engines. So you can see here is the new number 8. That simulator guy, right now, with the mic set up the way it is, I don't think there's a way to do a call. I'm hoping to have that figured out by next week, but I did not manage to get it figured out in time for this week. The microphone that you're hearing me through is on the phone itself, and I don't know if there's a way to link that to the Discord call. Even if we did, it would be playing through the speakers, which would cause an echo. So I'm thinking this week all the chatting happens in the live stream chat, and next week we can hopefully figure out a way to make the call work. So this is the new number 8, which is the same as the old number 8, but I replaced a bunch of stuff and gave it a new paint scheme, and finally installed sound in it. This one has TCS Wow Sound. I'm trying a few different brands of sound decoders. Wow Sound has been my go-to for quite some time, but I'm kind of getting tired of it, if I'm honest. It has some weird idiosyncrasies that I'll talk about in a little bit. But long story short, this will probably be the last Wow Sound installation in one of my engines. Obviously, I'll continue doing it for customers if they want it. Eagle Point, yeah, I've been settling into the East Coast pretty well. Really, my only major complaint about here is the snow, but I mean, that's going to be anywhere that's fairly far north. Hello, Wawa. Anyway, let's get this train underway. Okay, the speed settings are still not quite how I want them. That's fine. Okay, yeah, the camera looks like it's lagging a little bit, which is unfortunate, but at the moment, I don't think there's really a whole lot I can do about it. Hello, BD Vids. There you can see on the drive-in the feed from the other camera as the train goes by. So I don't have the entire layout covered in terms of cameras, but I have some of it, most of it. And I don't have a face cam for this one as well because for some reason the webcam that I normally use decided to stop working. I don't know what's going on with it, but OBS is not recognizing it as an input anymore. I don't know why. So, no Discord call, no face cam. But hopefully also, no weird multiplayer glitches and no Peter sabotaging the layout. Eagle Point, yeah, I do want to do that at some point. Like a realistic operation switching type video. I should get around to doing that, honestly. It's one of those things that I've been thinking for years, oh, I should do that, and then never done. But I should really do that. You can do like a day of operations on the Westport. Hello, Train Boy. See, what I'm going to have to do... what I'm going to have to do is put electrical switch machines on all my switches, and tie them into some kind of secret online server so that Peter can remotely mess with them. Yeah, Vintage Renewed. Peter Train Control is yet to be implemented, but we're working on it. That simulator guy, I can check the Discord and respond. I can type, I just can't. You won't be able to hear me talk. Odd-looking air. What aircraft are you looking at? Prevented train controls. Oh, the Ramsey 5000. Boy, that is a blast from the past. That has been for quite a while. That has resided in the giant drawer of electronic parts that I salvage from for other projects. So there are pieces of it here and there, but like most of the pieces of it that survive are probably being like used as other things. Like I'm pretty sure there's probably some resistors from it installed in some of these locomotives for the headlights. Yes, Peter will undoubtedly find a way. I'm sure he's hacking into my DCC controller as we speak. No worries, Chelsea. You can always join us next week. Hello, Central Valley Rail fan. Thanks for watching. Yeah, DC3 would be fun. I have an HO scale Cessna somewhere. Actually, okay, this is actually kind of funny. You should probably see this. Robert Lucido, I actually haven't unpacked the 70-ton yet. I've been quite busy, but actually, let me do that right now. Let's see if I can do this in front of the camera. So, Robert sent me a Bachmann GE 70-tonner. Yeah, I can probably do something with that. What kind of paint is this on the cab? That's an odd texture. Never run across that before. Oh, okay, this is the one that has a motor in each truck. Okay, so funny story, I've actually had one of these before. I had a Tyco Chattanooga, you know, the old, hello Chase's Railway Lines. I had a Tyco Chattanooga, the ones with the motors and the drive wheels and the tender, and the gears were busted. So I was thinking about trying to use one of these to repower the tender. That project is long gone, unfortunately, but now I'm wondering if maybe I should revisit that now that I have one of these. Actually, well, we should see if it runs. I'm guessing this does not have DCC, so what I'll do is... let me wait till the train comes around here, and then I'll take number 8 off the track and just switch this to DC power. So, excuse the wobbliness. I've got this set up so I have DCC and DC, and I can switch between them with that. This is a little preview of a technique I've been working on for making control panels, which will be featured in the video on the O-gauge layout soon. But then I have another DCC throttle, and then I have the power cab, which is currently over at my desk that I'm actually using to... Oops! Speaking of which, I forgot I was trying to do something. Vintage Renewed. What should I do with the 70-ton? Eagle Point. The reason I took down that video is because I had used some copyrighted movie clips in it. I actually do still have a copy of the video, so I could theoretically re-upload it. But I'm paranoid about getting copyright striked. Okay, I'll look into the HO scale DC3s. Hello, Michael Lockhart. Thanks for subscribing. Hope you enjoy. Okay. DCC off. Take that off the track. I have this camera zoomed way in, and I'm not 100% sure how to not do that, so let's put it back on the tripod. Alright. DC on. Is it on? What? Okay, if there's no voltage, I don't know why. Okay, what is happening? This is plugged in down there. There we go. Okay, that's reverse. Okay, that works. Tell you what, it's a little noisy, but that works a lot better than the one I had before. One of the reasons I gave up on that project was because the one I bought didn't run that well, but this is a little loud. I'm sure some grease will quiet that down, but it seems pretty smooth. Ooh, lower the cab. Okay, I may have to make a Sumter Valley in and out of. Oops. Left the DCC thingy on the track. Thanks, Chase. Yeah, the 280. This is a Roundhouse one, which is now a smattering of parts from many Roundhouse ones. But this is the current incarnation of Westport number 8. I did a Sierra 3 inspired paint scheme. It's got a new headlight. It's got a whole new chassis because the other one was having some issues and I had a spare. The tender's still the same, but I put the oil tank back on it. Yeah, it got a makeover. Painted the cab window trim red. The domes are off of an IHC 440. Yeah, I'll do. This will get more attention in a video soon. I'm thinking about making a video on how to program WoW sound decoders and using this as an example. Rambling Railpan, the 280 has WoW sound. Chase, the 440. If you're talking about the Spectrum one, I'm thinking we'll run that next. I've been doing some work on that as well. Where did I put that? Here's the Spectrum 440. I've done quite a bit of work on this recently. It has a new cab. This is off of a different Spectrum 440. And I did my wood paint technique on it. It's got a new headlight. This is a precision scale part. Bit of paint work. Stole number 12's tender. I still need to put white walls on the tender. This one's got a Soundtrack's Tsunami 2 decoder in it, so we'll see how that's different from the WoW sound. But yeah, and I found a whistle to replace the missing whistle. And I did a little bit of silver dry brushing on the wheels to help them pop a little more. I've been doing that on a lot of engines, and I think it really helps how they show up on camera. Like, it still registers to the eye as black, but it's much more visible. It doesn't just kind of disappear into the shadows. Miniature vapor creating machine, my favorite, yes. Alright, when the 70 tenor comes around, we'll take it off and run that. Yeah, Robert, I'll take a look at your video after the stream. Alright, okay, this may end up having to become a Sumter Valley engine. We will see how that goes. Alright, back to DCC. Howdy, CPR. Alrighty. Get this moving. I know I said in a video a while back that WoW Sound was my favorite decoders, but honestly, after is there a pilot wheel off? After spending time with a bunch of them, I'm actually starting to prefer. Oh, you're right, there is. I mean to prefer soundtracks. Thanks for letting me know, CPR. I did not notice that was off. Should be good now. Yes, that simulator guy. If it becomes a Sumter Valley engine, send me a message on Discord and we can talk. Hello, Tweetsy Railroad. Hello, Stevens King. Your username may be incorrect, but we're glad to have you here all the same. Train Boy, I'm actually not sure what whistle this is. It's just I was just going through all of the soundtrack's whistles and picked one that I like. Oh, you know what we can do actually? I can read back the CV and then I'll look at the soundtrack website and see what it is. A wheelbarrow on top of a boxcar. How would that even get there? Okay. Program track. CV. I'm just using the power cab for this. I took the scroll wheel out of my power cab because it was having some issues, and I'd already replaced the encoder like 3 times and I never use it, so I just removed it and put a piece of styrene in there. CPR, I don't have the Royal Hudson. Unfortunately, I didn't ever own that. That was a model that was lent to me for review by a shop that I worked at. So I only had it for a couple of days. I had to give it back to the shop. But it was a beautiful engine. Anybody know what the CV for the whistle selection on soundtracks is? Is it 120? I think it's 120. Okay. That is whistle number 34. Let me go to the soundtracks website here real quick. Sound selections for Tsunami 2. 34. That is an L&N passenger 3 chime, apparently. Which I believe is 4501's whistle. Welcome back, Jesse. So, funnily enough, I've actually been debating what to do with my O-gauge Lionel Southern 4501. Thank you, Jesse. The WOW sound decoder in it is just not really working satisfactorily for me. So I'm thinking either somebody told me that this whistle, the L&N 3 chime, was the correct one for 4501, and it does sound pretty close. So I might put Blue Nami or regular Tsunami in the O-gauge 4501 and just use this whistle. Or the other option is I could do ESU lock sound, which has actual sounds recorded from 4501. So I'm thinking more along the lines of doing the lock sound, because it is like literally the correct sound. Hello, Railfanner. Yeah, Jesse, thank you. The screen is hooked up to another camera over by the harbor, so we get a sort of a second camera angle. Yes, and that green boiler, and they were green. Fancy in the trash. Hello, Train Street. That reminded me of something that I said I was going to do ages ago and haven't done. So Train Street and I have a going about how everything lettered Pensy goes in the trash. So at the last train show I went to, I bought the cheapest O-gauge caboose I could find. I spent $5 whole on this Lionel caboose, and I was hoping to find something cheap Pensy that we could, like, Back to the Future 3 off the end of the layout, and I didn't find anything, so I got an unlettered one, and I just wrote Pennsylvania on it with a marker. So, K4's go in the mud. So, yeah, eventually, and I did it on both sides, but I misspelled it on this side on purpose. So, at some point, I will get around to yeeting this off the end of the layout for fun. Yeah, K4s go in the mud. Is that video published anywhere? Or is that just, is that secret knowledge? That's true, Chelsea. They are both cool, and there is a lot of Pensy stuff that I like. It's just a funny in-joke. Add to that the fact that my friend Peter is a huge New York Central fan. But, I mean, I have Pensy stuff as well. Maybe we'll run it in a little bit, but I actually have a Mantua Pensy 442 Atlantic that I've been working on detailing that I might make a video on at some point. But we're all friends here. We can hello, Castle. Yeah, there's plenty of room for friendly joshing between rival railroads, but at the end of the day, it's all trains and it's all fun. Castleberg, yeah, I think I've seen a couple of Jawtooth videos. He's the guy that does like all the trackside railfan stuff, right? I know I've seen his videos come up in searches. CPR, funny you mentioned that. I'm actually working on a Mantua General, and I'm hoping to do like a full resto mod rebuild on it. Train Boy, yeah, the 442s are pretty good, especially if you get one of the later ones with the CAN motor. Those run really smooth. And they're pretty much the only decent 442 you can get in HO. Hello, Peter. Welcome. At the end of the day, we all hate Penn Central. Yeah, I think, I don't know, any Penn Central fans in the chat? I don't think I've ever met a Penn Central fan. Yeah, I realize I say that guy who does all the trackside rail fanning stuff as if there's only one. Ooh, Providence Northern decals. That would be cool. It'd be cool to have something Providence Northern on this layout. The Rapido H1644s. I haven't tried one, but I've been pretty impressed with all of the Rapido stuff that I have tried. I did reviews, back when I worked at BC Hobbies, I did review videos on a few Rapido engines, and they're very detailed, they're very expensive, but they do run really nice, and they usually have good sound decoders. The only issue I ever had was parts falling off in the box because they're so detailed. But, I mean, that's kind of like too much of a good thing. So yeah, Rapido, good stuff. Definitely. I would be very surprised if something that they made wasn't good. That said, the first one that I did was the Royal Hudson, and that one actually had issues and had to be sent back to Rapido. So the one that was in the review video was actually the second one that I tried. But that was the only major issue that I've had with a Rapido. Yeah, Central can make a better 250 unit than UP. I think literally anyone can make a better 250 unit than UP. Like, I don't want to get into politics at all on this channel, but let's just say that Union Pacific's 250th anniversary locomotive attempt was just pathetic. Hello, Will's O-Scale. Family Rail fan. Yeah, from a hobby shop, probably doesn't have to go through as much shipping. Also, this is the freight consist that I will be taking to Providence Northern in a few weeks. There's gonna, a few of us are planning a trip up there, or down there, I should say, because I'm north of it. I do plan to make a video on it. I'm going to take the good camera with me this time. And I'm going to take a bunch of my engines that I've been working on and this brake consist. I've been going through all these cars, putting metal wheels on them, getting the coupler heights fixed. I might not take this caboose. I was hoping to have it done in time for this stream, but I didn't. I'm in the middle of painting up a Westport caboose. So the one that I've got on here is just a substitute at the moment. Yeah, Rambling Rail Fan, it's a really good idea to look at stuff in person before you buy it. Unfortunately, sometimes you can't if you're getting stuff online that isn't available locally. But one of the things I do really like living on the East Coast, one of the things I like about it is that there are a fairly good density of hobby shops here. Like, there are at least 3 train shops within an hour's drive of me. Knapford Master, tweaking coupler height, there's a couple ways you can do it. If the coupler is too high, you can put shims between the coupler box and the underbody of the freight car. If it's too low, you can put shims on the trucks to raise the whole car up. If that's not an option, you can also get underset and overset couplers that have a vertical offset built in. Sometimes that's the best option if you have a car where the coupler box is built into the thing and you can't change it. Train Boy, the Westport caboose, I'm figuring out a new paint scheme. It's not going to be exactly the same as the green diesel one. It's going to be red, or sort of a darker red with a black roof. And I might put some silver or gold highlights on it, I'm not sure yet. It's still in the process of being painted, but it's coming together. It's going to be I think it's called a drover's caboose, where it's like a caboose with a combine baggage car built into it. Hopefully I'll have it done in time for a stream next week. If not, I'll definitely have it done in time for the Providence Northern trip, which will be next month. I feel like it's getting to be time to change camera angles. Maybe I'll do... Actually, maybe I can see if I can follow the train around. I should do something with that Southern Railway 280 as well. That's been sitting around here for ages. I just put that together out of parts from like 3 other Bachmann 280s. Chessie System, some of us New England folks are taking a trip to the Providence Northern Model Railroad Club. We've done a couple of those before. You can see the videos on my channel, but it's a really cool layout. It's this huge, massive HO layout. So we're going to take some of our trains down there and run them and make a video about it. Ooh, a Reading and Northern 425 will be awesome. I'm looking forward to seeing that. Yeah, I thought about trying to detail it as 722. Would be nice to have an HO counterpart to my O-scale 4501. Watch the K4 in the mud. Hello, Battle 604. Welcome. Technically, I'm pretty sure it already is 722. At least it's lettered as it. Ooh, Emperor of the North. I haven't seen that movie in forever. Let's see, is this? Yeah, it is. It is technically letter 22. It's not in the greatest shape. Like some of the pipes and stuff are a little wonky. I think the end of the ones on this side are broken off. There's a scratch in the side of the tender right there that took out part of the H. But it runs okay because it has all the best pieces of like 3 scrap mechanisms that I put together. And unlike most of these that I've run across, the whistle is not broken off. So in that respect, actually the nicest one I've ever had. Train Street, yeah, I saw the Lego RS1 in the group chat. That was pretty cool. Are you bringing that to Providence Northern? I know we can't run it, but it'd be cool to see. Yeah, Battle, I need to make more videos on this layout. I've just been so busy. I've had tons of personal stuff not related to the channel taking up my time. I've had some health issues I'm dealing with, but I'm trying to get back into the swing of things with YouTube. The tank car, I actually don't remember what brand that is. I think it's is it a Mantua? I think it's Mantua. I know it originally had some blue and white industrial paint scheme on it. I repainted it black. I'm gonna say I'm like 70% sure it's a Mantua, but I'm not 100%. I wonder if it says on it. It does not say. I know finding metal wheels that fit on it was a royal pain. Chassis system, the Heisler is an old Rivarossi model. This will eventually be a project. I've had it sitting around for ages. The only thing I've done so far is put KD couplers on it. It does run, but it's pretty noisy. But it's a nice looking model. Certainly sturdier than the Bachmann Shea, and I do really like that it has all the working stuff underneath. Yeah, on the roundhouse roof. Oil bunker on the 280. Yeah, probably 3D print one. Any engine that doesn't exist on the market that you'd want to scratch? Well, Sierra 3 would be the obvious one that comes to mind immediately. McLeod River 3. Is that a Heisler? Let me look it up. I'm pretty sure the Rivarossi does still make that Heisler. I think they make 2 and 3 truck versions. Yeah, McLeod River 3 is the Heisler. I'm pretty sure that the one they currently make is actually the same tooling as the old one. They just updated the mechanism. I mean, we can run this. It's just loud, but it does run, and it still has the giant Rivarossi motor that fills the entire cab. This one was actually a 3-truck originally, but the rear truck, I think it had like a broken gear or something, so I just took it off and combined parts from the middle and rear truck to make it a 2-truck engine. I'm pretty sure that's just what Rivarossi did to make their version as well. I was thinking eventually I'd remotor it and put sound in it or something, but I don't really have a good use for a Heisler. Gabe Sutton, these, if you're talking about these passenger cars, they're just painted and unlettered at the moment. They were originally Union Pacific. I painted them. I was going to letter them Westport, I just never got around to it. Yeah, rail fanner. 3D printing has just been one of the most amazing things for scale modeling. Like it opens up so many possibilities. At some point, I do want to get a resin printer, but honestly, I've gotten pretty far with filament. Yeah, Napford, sometimes it does take more effort because you got to design stuff. But like once you learn, I mean, I'm using Blender, but you can use SketchUp or whatever. Once you learn a 3D design program and how to make that work with the printer, you can pretty much scratch build anything within the limits of the materials. Yeah, the Heisler is an excuse for a logging grate. Something that I've kind of thought about doing is expanding the railroad along the wall over to this side of the room under the Back to the Future poster. And doing like maybe switchbacks. Only thing is it would block part of the window. The other option would be to move the entire layout into a different room that has less windows, but I've pretty much got all of the space that I have available full of layout at this point. WNS T1. I don't really see a T1 working on these curves, either a Pensy T1 or a Reading T1. Oh, good, Jesse. I can figure out from context what you mean. I do think the Reading T1s are very cool, and I kind of... Ooh, make the grade out of the camp uphill. That's an interesting idea, and have it go down lower. I'm gonna have to think about that. Second level with a helix. So, funny thing. Once I had the layout fairly far under construction, it occurred to me that in the same amount of space, I could probably have fit a complete folded dog bone with like one loop on top of the other in the same space. It would have required a grade, which I was trying to avoid. But it would have basically doubled my length of run per lap, and it would have given me an excuse to have a tunnel. So if I were to start this layout from scratch again, I might do that. But in the long run, it's probably a good thing I didn't do a grade, because a lot of my engines don't pull a ton. Marine boiler from a tub of moisturizer. See, I do love that kind of creativity. And I don't think 3D printing necessarily replaces that, it just kind of supplements it. Yeah, grade is keyword for a logging camp. Robert, I'm of two minds about the name Lone Pine. Because I was trying to come up with a name that would like feel like a spiritual successor to the Red Oak, but be a different kind of tree. So I named it Lone Pine, which was also a little bit of a Back to the Future reference. And then after I named it that, I did some more deeper digging and discovered that there actually was a Lone Pine branch of the Southern Pacific in California. And I was trying to avoid using the same name as a real railroad. So I do like the name Lone Pine, but I'm thinking I might change it to something else. I haven't really decided what yet. Maybe something involving white pine, because that's a common tree here in the Northeast. But I don't want the initials to start with WP, because that's too similar to Westport. Although, I mean, the two layouts, it's maybe in a video, hopefully soon, I'll kind of talk about my plans for the senior and the O-gauge layout. It will have a little bit of a family with Westport, but it's not going to be the exact same thing. So I don't want it to be too similar. Like, I've also thought about just calling it basically a reboot of the old Red Oak layout. But then I feel like if I'm going to have a layout that is the same as the name of the channel, then it should be the one that I do most of the videos on, and the one I do most of the videos on is probably always going to be the Westport, because I do probably 2 HO videos for every O-scale video. So, I kind of want to do some... Oh, Shady Oak is actually an interesting idea. I'll have to put that on the list. One idea that I had, because the way that I came up with Westport and Shelter Cove, I've probably talked about this before. is I wanted it to have... Hello, Gilded Rail. I wanted it to have sort of a Pacific Northwest feel to it. And I'm not sure the scenery is quite there. I feel like the scenery almost looks more northeastern by accident. But, I mean, this is the first time I've really built scenery that was in any way passable as scenery, so all things considered, I'm not too upset with it. And maybe I will eventually redo it. But anyway, I wanted the name to have a very Pacific Northwest feel, so I just looked through, like, Oregon and Washington and looked for all of those little tiny towns along the coast, and there's so many of them. And I tried to find the names that were used for at least 2 or more of those little towns in various states. So, like, there's a Westport, California, there's a Westport, Oregon, I think there's a Westport, Washington. Same thing, Shelter Cove, California, Shelter Cove, Oregon. I'm not sure if there's a Washington one. But I wanted to use names that are already used more than once, so that basically mine could be either of them, or it could be a secret third thing. It could be a secret third Shelter Cove or whatever. So, Westport and Shelter Cove, I calculated to be the most Pacific Northwest name I could come up with. So now I'm stuck trying to figure out the most New England name of a railroad that I could come up with that isn't already used. So I've been looking up what little towns in New England use the same names as others, and there's actually even more recycled names here than there are in the Pacific Northwest. There's like 6 towns called Lincoln. Yeah, the idea that naming a railroad is the hardest part of planning. You know, honestly, it is probably the part that I spend more time on than any other individual part of it. And every time I build one of these layouts, and because A, I refuse to model a real railroad, because then I would have limits on what I could realistically run, and I like being able to run random stuff. I don't know, maybe I will do a real railroad eventually, I just could never pick one. And B, sorry, I lost my train of thought. Oh, and B, I don't want to name 2 layouts the same thing, because I want to be able to refer to them by their names and know which one I'm talking about. So I end up coming up with a new fictional name for each railroad every time I build a layout. And I do at some point want to, like, kind of retroactively tie them all into one shared fictional universe, but that's not a super urgent priority. Guild Rail, so far we've been running number 7, which is the 4-4 that's running right now. We've run number 8, which is the Roundhouse 280. And we ran a 70-tonner that Robert sent me. But we can probably swap this out for something else soon. There is that simulator guide. See, the thing is, if I'm going to use the name of a railroad that people have limited knowledge, I want to actually model it. At some point, I do think it would be really cool to build a narrow gauge layout based on the South Pacific Coast Railroad. I've done some research on that, and it's a really interesting little narrow gauge short line in California that seems to be largely forgotten. Onyx Skibbity, the 262, if you're talking about the one that I made out of a Bachmann 280, it was kind of a jalopy. It only really lasted long enough for that video. If you're talking about the Mantua one that I've been working on behind the scenes, that is actually basically done at this point, and I'm going to run it a little bit later in the stream. Railfanner. Okay, the message disappeared. Chessie, you may get your wish pretty soon. The Westport 10-wheeler duo, yep, I still have both of those. 12 is currently in the shop because it needs a decoder, and I've stole its tender for number 7. Yeah, that'll be back in service soon. And 13 is right here in the yard, between the Atlantic and the F unit. I should put sound in that eventually. Anyway, I'm gonna run to the bathroom real quick, but then maybe we'll run the prairie. Maybe it's finally time for the big reveal. So I'll be right back. Alrighty. Jesse, no, I'm not married. That simulator guy lives in Massachusetts. Alright, everybody, drum roll, please. Time for the big reveal. Here is the Mantua Prairie. Move farther away. So, I've been working on this kit for over a year, I think, at this point. It is the older version with the die-cast boiler. I put a can motor in it. I put sound in it. The tender is roundhouse with a Bachmann oil tank on it because the tender that came with it looked way too big. I made a 3D printed, somewhat detailed backhead for it, if I can get it to show up on camera. I'll do a proper video about this pretty soon. Yes, Rambling Rail fan, this will get a dedicated video. The headlight works. I even found a number plate for it, and I numbered it 18 because that was the number plate that I found. Yeah, that is that, and let's get it on the track and run it. We'll wait till 7 comes around and then swap them out. Thank you, everyone. CPR. I used a Mishima can motor that I got from trains.com. I don't know if it's the same one Mantua uses. It might be. Didn't need to quick enough. Wow! Money! That is the first time somebody sent me money on here. Thank you. Making a drawbar for an 060. Depends on what 060 it is. You can 3D print drawbars. They're not always the most durable, but they'll usually work okay. Yep, this is the first Super Chat in Red Oak history. That is wild. Thank you, Middletown Branch Productions. You have the honor of being my first Super Chat. I guess I'm a real streamer now. Alright, well now I have to run the prairie. It does look good, thanks Knapford. I don't know what the prototype for this is. I pretty much was using McLeod River 25 as a reference when building it, although obviously I went with a high headlight, because that's what it had and I liked the look. But yeah, I'm pretty happy with it. The can motor does make it very smooth. There is still a very slight hiccup in reverse that I'm trying to figure out the reason for. I think it probably is just some weirdness with the axles. I'll figure it out. Yeah, I'm pretty pleased with this thing. I sucker for this. Middletown. Oh, it is a Mantua. So it actually is probably the same chassis that this one has. Yeah, the Mantua drawbars are weird. They're like some kind of paper fiber thingy. Honestly, the best thing probably would be to just 3D print a shorter one. For this one, I'm using just a random plastic drawbar I found in the parts bin, but I don't know what it's from. I could build another one as McLeod 25, but somebody else actually already did, and it's gorgeous, so I don't want to like copy exactly what they did. But Oregonian Railfan, shout out, has done one of these up as McLeod 25, and it looks great. Jesse, yes, I do have an E6. It's the Mantua one. It's not a super accurate E6, but I've been working on making it more accurate bit by bit. Yeah, Knapford, but Bachman really should make some McLeod ones. HON3 would be cool. I always wanted to get into that, but it's so expensive. The whistle, I'm not sure what this is. Railfanner says it's an SP6 chime, and I'm inclined to agree with that. We could do the same thing I did in the other one and read back the CV and figure out what it is. I don't remember what I set it to. This is the Soundtrack's Economy decoder, which is like the cheaper version of the Tsunami, so it doesn't have as many whistle options. Blue K4. Vintage Dude, go to Oregonian Railfan's channel and take a look at his McLeod 25. That's the best one I've seen. And it uses the same chassis as this. I think that one has a later plastic boiler that has 3 domes, which is more accurate. Yeah, the downbeat exhaust does sound pretty good for a loop. These Economies I've actually been pretty impressed with. I have one of the new Bachman 060s that comes with it, which we can run in a little bit. And I've actually been quite impressed with that. Like, I always thought the Economies were kind of crappy because I had, like, the Bachman sound value engines, but it turns out what the sound value engines didn't have isn't the same as an Economy. It's an even more stripped down decoder that basically, they took enough stuff away that it's not really good anymore. But the regular Economy is actually pretty good. It's a decent little decoder. Like, it doesn't have the load-sensitive stuff. It only changes intensity relative to the speed. Or, not the speed, but, like, the acceleration. So, like, it's louder when you accelerate, and then quiets down when you let off. Hello, Jurassic. Yeah, actually, I'll pause it in front of the driving camera, so you can look at it while I'm doing this. But yeah, like, the Economies that you can buy, like the 21-pin one, which is what's in this, are actually a pretty solid little sound decoder. Hello, Preston. 3D printing a locomotive in garden scale. I haven't yet, but I really want to. I've 3D printed, like, parts for them. I haven't 3D printed an entire locomotive. But something that I have been considering attempting, and I'm not saying that this is a definite thing that's going to happen yet, but at some point I would like to try and 3D print either Sierra 3 or a Virginia and Truckee Mogul. Remains to be seen what I'm going to do and if I'm going to do that. Okay. Program track. Is the whistle CV the same for Economy? That I don't know. Knapford Master. So Bluenami is the same sounds as the Tsunami 2. So the Economy has some of those sounds, but not all of them. So, like, the regular one, I think, has 10 chuff options. Bluenami has, like, 3. Or not Bluenami, sorry, the Economy has, like, 3. Bluenami has all of them. So, if you don't mind just having the few of them, Economy is fine. It just, Bluenami, there is no eco version of that. If you buy a Bluenami, you get all of the sounds. 1/29th scale SW1500. Interesting. That's another thing, is if I did 3D print something, what scale would it be? Because I want it to look good with my 1 to 22.5 stuff, but some of the prototypes I'm looking at are standard gauge. Sound selections for economy steam prototypes. Okay, it is CV120. Same as a Tsunami. 8. Okay, so it is a Southern Pacific. Southern Pacific step top 6 chime. So that's what it is. I don't remember who asked, but if you're still wondering, it's a Southern Pacific 6 chime. Ooh, my favorite of the cars at the big screen. That's a good question. Let me get the train moving again. Let's take a look at what we've got over here. I mean, it might have to be this because I'm partial to Mustangs. Hard to say no to that. But there are some nice models in here too. I like this little Porsche 356. That's probably the one I've had the longest. What else? This, I'm not even sure what this one is. Dusty. I think it's like a... It says 1970 on the license plate. I think it's like a Pontiac or something, but that's pretty cool. I do have a Pinto, which it'd be funny to like put a smoke generator in that. 68 Charger. I mean, obviously it's a classic for a reason. It's not my favorite of like the canonical muscle cars, but it is still pretty cool. Oh, and I have a soft spot for this one, which I think is like a Ford Escort from the 80s or something, just because I love the color on it. Let's see. Yeah, Chesney, the 68 Charger is on the left. Mexico steam locomotives. Yeah, they're pretty cool. What was the one we were talking about in the Discord the other day? I don't remember the number on it. I'll have to check that, but it's a 260. It's pretty neat. Hey, Red Dead, welcome! My least favorite Westport locomotive, that's an interesting question. I mean, realistically, it's probably the one that I never run anymore, which is 40, the Baldwin diesel. And I mean, not for any particular reason, the only valid reason I have to dislike it is that these handrails keep falling off. But it is a decent little engine. I mean, it runs fine. I don't know, I should just put a sound decoder in that and start running it again. Ford EXP, okay, I'll look that up. Yep, Red Dead, this is the 262 I've been working on. It is pretty much done. Let me get some better views of it. It will get its own video soon, but I figured I'd debut it here on stream because it's going to be a while before I finish the video. Yeah, I'm pretty pleased with how it turned out. You can hear there's a little bit of a clunk with each wheel revolution. I'm not sure what's causing that. Beep the 40. I should do that. Put a GP hood on it. Ooh, Northern Central. That's on my bucket list for sure. Yeah, HO and 3 would be super cool. Oh yes, Red Dead. Yeah, the 999 project looks awesome. I assume you're still doing that up as the one from Red Dead Redemption. I have my HO 999 here. This thing is an absolute jalopy, but I did get it cheap, so I'm not too mad about it. But it's super noisy. Chassis system. Oh yeah, I do have a square body. I forgot about that one. All these cars are so dusty. Yeah, this is... I think this was originally the military version. It was a kit that I put together. Come on, camera, focus. But I just painted it black. But yeah, it's a neat little... I don't remember what the manufacturer of the kit was. ES and DT 998. Oh, the Red Dead whistle is pretty cool. Montreal, yeah, a lot of interesting engines have ended up. I think some of the Rio Grande K27s, I want to say, ended up going to Mexico and being converted to standard gauge. Those are interesting. Hello, Quentin. I don't think I have. I might have an unbuilt one somewhere. Chassis, yeah, I'm pretty sure it's a Chevy. Let me take a look again. It's either a Chevy or a GMC, which I mean, they're basically the same thing. Yeah, it's a Chevy. Let's see if I can get the camera to focus. I don't know if you can see, but yeah, that looks like a Chevy grill to me. A Tsunami 2 equipped steamer. We were running one a little while ago. We were running the number 7. Maybe we'll do that again soon. I mean, this one's got economy, which is just the same thing but with fewer sounds, basically. But yeah, we can run the number 7 with Tsunami again later. Yeah, 480 would be awesome. Yeah, Chevy and GMC, they're pretty much just the same trucks with a different name slapped on the side. I remember Caprice... Oh! Do I have a Caprice wagon? I do have a Caprice wagon. I forgot there's so many more cars over here. This one is made by Repeat, I'm pretty sure. I seem to recall I paid way too much for it, but it is pretty nice. I remember hearing a story at one point about, I think it was a square-body Chevy truck that had a Chevy logo on one door and a GMC logo on the other. Hello, Anthony. Isaac, what do you think of Locksound 5 decoders? I don't actually have any Locksound 5s. Everything that I've heard about them has been positive, so I do want to get one soon. I have a couple more HO engines that need sound decoders, so I might try a Locksound 5 in one of those. And I might get one of the large-scale ones from my O-Gauge Southern 4501 because it has the correct sounds recorded from the real 4501. Gilded Rail, yes, I actually do have a Pinto over by the drive-in here. It has not exploded yet, but, you know, the night is young. '07 Yukon, yeah, those are solid. I personally have always been more of a Ford fan for no particular reason. I think just because my dad had an old 60s Ford truck when I was a kid. But GM has certainly made some solid cars, especially like those 90s and 2000s era trucks. They seem to be absolutely bulletproof. Anthony, yes, it is a River Rossi Heisler. Red Dead. So I put that Tsunami sound decoder into a tender that I can plug into either of them. Right now it is plugged into 7. We were running it earlier. And I might leave it with 7 because I really like how it looks and sounds and runs. But I have tried it with 12 and it works there as well. Several HO Lamborghinis. I have not run across any of them when I made them. Westport number 38. Okay, this may be me having a brain fart, but I don't remember which 138 is. I should set up a car show. Yeah, like... Yeah, the wood cab's nice. I have a video on how I do the paint on wood cabs. Matter of fact, actually, I think I made a post about it on YouTube, but somebody from Garden Railways magazine contacted me and asked if they could use my technique in an article. So, there was an article on the Garden Railways magazine website that mentioned my video for the wood. But yeah, that's the same technique I used on this. I've used it on a few other engines as well. I really like how it looks. 38. The Bachmann USRA 060. Oh, I think I sold that one. I think I sold that to Ricardo. I don't think I have any more. Pontiac Aztec. Honestly, it wouldn't be the worst idea. I'm trying to keep the cars like pre-1990 approximately. I basically see this as like a tourist railroad / local freight operation in the 90s. The sort of thing that would have been featured on one of those Pentrex VHS tapes. I used to watch a lot of those. Yeah, lock sound. You can do custom sound with the lock sound, which is really cool, although you do need the lock programmer gadget to actually put them on the decoder. Oh, the Bachmann 280. Honestly, I really like the Bachmann 280. As long as we're talking about like the one from the 90s until now, not the old Reading one. But like, we can run the one that I have here. They've made them basically the exact same since 1999, and they're really solid. I really like them. They run quiet, they run smooth. Not the absolute best slow speed I've ever seen, but adequate for most operation. Ooh, a wedge plow would be cool, or a rotary. But yeah, reliability-wise, quality, you honestly really couldn't ask for better, and especially if you get a good deal on one. Yeah, no complaints. Ooh, an NW2 for Railroader, that's cool. The Proto 2000 060, I've got that. It currently only has a silent decoder in it, and that decoder's having some issues. So I think I am going to put sound in that soon. That might be one of the ones that I try lock sound in. Yeah, my friend Peter has a lock programmer, so we can... I don't have one, but I have access to one. A 50s Cadillac, I don't think I do, unfortunately. Tyco 040... really depends on which version you get. If it's the old one that uses the same boiler as this Prairie, those I think are pretty solid. The later ones, they kind of cheaped out on them to make them more affordable for train sets, and then the later ones are kind of crappy. Red Dead, I haven't started on the O-scale Thatcher Perkins yet. The base locomotive I'm going to use for it actually arrived today. I don't think the viewing public has been informed of this project yet, but I am going to try and do up one of those MTH O-gauge 10-wheelers as the Thatcher Perkins from the B&O Railroad Museum. MTH did sell a version of it as the Thatcher Perkins, but they got the colors completely wrong, so I'm going to rectify their mistake and do a proper one. IHC 282 for cheap. There's usually a decent selection of them on eBay, but if you can go to a train show, you can frequently find them for a bit less there. Gilded Rail, yeah, sorry, no Plymouth as far as I'm aware. The closest thing I have to either of those would probably be this Impala, which is pretty nice. It's an Oxford die-cast model. I'm still on the hunt for a Plymouth. I'm sure I'll run across one. Model rail fan. This is an old Mantua Prairie kit that I modified. The tender's off a roundhouse engine. I think they might have sold these ready to run at some point, but most of the ones that I was able to find were kits. And I had to do a lot of work to it. Good evening, Dalton Cypher. Isaac's Garage. Yeah, actually, speaking of the Athearn 260s, I have a Baltimore and Ohio one that I got from Red Dead. We should run that. This is a gorgeous little engine. This has like the really old sound decoder. Hello, Dakota. This has like the sound decoder from the early 2000s that came with a little remote for running it on DC. So it's not the fanciest sound decoder in the world. I do eventually plan to upgrade it, but it kind of has a retro charm to it. The Santa Fe F unit. This one, I believe, is a Proto 2000. Yeah, the Bachmann one is really kind of cheap and cheesy. But yeah, this Proto 2000 one's pretty nice. I got it for like $50 at a train show. We could run that later. But actually, now that I'm thinking about it, I do kind of want to run this B&O Mogul. A Lifelike 040 for $90? That sounds like a money laundering scheme. We do need a B&O caboose for the Mogul. Oh, and the camera's not even pointed where I thought it was, so fun times. Hold on, I'll fix it. Alright, so yeah, this Mogul has a really old sound decoder. Yeah, the Bachmann Prairie's decent. Yes, Chase, yes, it is a Mantua. I've made some mods to it. I'll go take a look at that in a little bit. I have not lettered it for the port. It's still Pensy. Oh, and I'm leaving without my train. Hello, little bits. Oh, okay, it just doesn't want to couple on a curve. Have a good one, Gabe. Thanks for stopping by. Yeah, Bachmann does make a B&O bobber. I should get one of those. Thanks, John. Welcome. One of the other quirks of this decoder is that it basically goes fast or not at all. Isaac's Garage, yeah, this is the Westport and Shoulder Cove. I have a video series on the building of it. The old tooling 440 that was on the display track, I moved it to make room for the River Rossi Heisler, but I do have it right here. It runs, but not very well. Yeah, the Athearn couplers aren't great. They look nice. They're closer to scale size, but they just don't function very well. I'll replace it with KDs on here. Yeah, the stream seems pretty popular. Thank you, Logistics. Yeah, it is very crisp. This is one of the older ones from the early 2000s. But apart from the decoder, it's held up pretty well. It's mechanically and cosmetically pretty much the same as the new ones. Thanks, Jesse. Yeah, I do need to put a better decoder in it at some point. Model railfan, yeah, I do still have the new tooling one. It's currently taken apart because I'm trying to stuff a better sound decoder into it and a better speaker. Little Town. So the way the pickup works on those old Mantas is the frame of the engine is grounded to one rail and the frame of the tender is grounded to the other. So one side of the motor should be connected to the engine frame, the other one should have a wire going to the tender. So if you want to test the motor with like alligator clips, clip one wire to the engine frame and the other one to that is coming off the top of the motor. Yeah, Peter, is kind of interesting. I think the silver is kind of supposed to be Russia iron. It's pretty light for Russia iron, so it's not super convincing, but it could also just represent painted silver. But yeah, a lot of 19th century engines had a black smoke box because they hadn't figured out. I think the silver paint on the smoke box thing was for visibility and safety, and they hadn't really figured out heat-proof silver paint in the 19th century. Let's see. Sorry, I'm trying to follow the train with the camera and read the chat at the same time. Gilded Rail, I'll probably do another model train stream next week. Oh, any tips for a first-time solder iron user? Yeah, I guess, I mean, what other people are saying here is all good advice. Keep the tip clean. I just wipe it on a wet rag, like a wet washcloth or something. Get a good quality tip. The cheap ones have a tendency to wear out pretty quickly and get all sorts of weird shapes. But honestly, it's just practice is the main thing. Oh, and if you ever drop it, don't try to grab it in the air because Murphy's Law states that you will grab it by the hot part and you will burn yourself. Let it hit the floor and then grab the handle. And get some nice thin electronic solder. I find the thin stuff's easier to use. Oh, interesting. You're not supposed to use a wet cloth or a sponge? Huh. All the soldering irons I've ever bought have come with a sponge. Model railfan, I don't have the Russian deck anymore. I sold that. I think I did get the body off at one point, but I don't remember how. Sorry. I would assume it's similar to the other Spectrum engines. Jacob Owen 30. I love Owen 30. I want to build an Owen 30 layout so bad, I just don't have room for a third layout. But I am thinking I want to incorporate an Owen 30 line somewhere into my O-gauge layout. Currently, the plan that I'm thinking of is having a street scene behind the main line on one side that has an Owen 30 like point-to-point line for street running, so I can either run trolleys on it or I could run like a phony with some coaches back and forth. I wish that I'd thought of this when in the earlier planning stages of the O-gauge layout, because I would have incorporated O30 much more heavily into it. Yeah, SMT mainline is kind of a mad lad in the way that he solders. Like, I have a vague memory of him, like, cutting diesel locomotive shells to make a kit bash with an X-Acto knife blade in the soldering iron. And I'm just like, yeah, you know what? As long as you don't hurt yourself, I'm fully in support of shenanigans like that, but it's definitely not what it says on the tin. Railfanner, the Westport Bachmann 260 is currently in Peter's possession. It's probably not going to get resurrected because it was having some wiring issues, and I think it's more useful as a source of parts, but I might get another one at some point. Hello, Glenbrook. Oh, actually, well, I say I'm going to get another one. I technically have two of them here on my desk. I've got two identical ones. I bought these in an eBay lot. They both have broken wiring harnesses on the tender. So I'm probably going to fix those and sell them, or just hardwire the engines and tenders together and sell them. I might keep one, probably not. I don't know. I've had these before. They're decent, but I kind of have almost too many steam engines at this point, and I also have an IHC mogul that I'm detailing out. So I feel like it'd be a little redundant to have those. I don't know, maybe I will. We'll see. Oh, right, Peter. Yeah, one of the domes came off of that engine. I think that's one of the reasons I decided to make it a spare parts thing, but I'm sure we can find some parts to resurrect it. Huh. Interesting, Michael. Yeah, I didn't know that about the soldering sponges. I think I do have one of those like steel wool looking things, like the brass wire sponge. Maybe I should use that to clean the tip instead. Model rail fan? No, I don't have any British locomotives at the moment. Oh, actually, I do have an Owen 30 locomotive that you might find interesting, though. As long as we're talking about Owen 30. Let me get it down off the shelf here. I bought this at the Amherst train show, and I haven't done anything with it. Train Boy, yes. I think I might have been the first person to sign the petition. The box car behind the motor's tender is not B&O. It's... what is it? Grand Rapids in Indiana, which I don't even know if that was a real railroad. Anyway, this is the Owen 30 engine. This is the reason I want to build an Owen 30 layout. This is the Denver and Rio Grande Bumblebee. Oh yeah, we should use the E6 to pull the coaches. Maybe we'll do that next. Anyway, if I can add some kind of Owen 30 line to the O-gauge layout to run this on, I will be a happy camper. The California Western 45, no, I haven't shown that. That's another project that I probably won't get to for quite a while. But I have been on a lifelong search for one of those Northwest Shortline Baldwin 70-ton Mikados to turn into California Western 45, which is an engine that holds a very special place in my heart because I grew up right next to this kind of train. And it doesn't currently run, but I did find one. Grand Rapids. Oh, Grand Rapids in Indiana went through your town. Awesome. That is super cool. Okay, so that's neat. That is a real railroad. You learn something new every day. I never run across it before. I picked up this boxcar for a couple of bucks at a train show a while back. I just thought it looked neat because it was kind of unusual. But it's a really neat little boxcar. I just got done replacing the trucks and couplers to make it run a bit better. But yeah, it looks like the previous owner did some weathering on it. I have no idea what any of the history of it is, but I like it. Alright, I'm gonna take the very noisy mogul off. Isaac's Garage, this layout is called the Westport and Shelter Cove. I was trying to go for like a Pacific Northwest vibe, so I just looked up the town names that had been duplicated across various places in the Pacific Northwest and put those together. Like, if I had to pick a single prototype, it'd probably be the Oregon Coast Scenic Railroad. Hello, Sebastian. Welcome. What was I about to run? Oh, the E6. Oh, I should have backed the train into the. Well, somebody wanted us to run the Tsunami 2 engine again, so I'll use that to put the freight train away. Sorry, I'm not wearing the hat. Yeah, model rail. It's this really old decoder. I think it might be MRC or something. It's whatever it came with. And as far as I can tell, there's no volume control. It just is that loud. All right, so I'm going to use number 7 to take this freight train back over to the yard. And of course, it doesn't want to couple on the curve, because why would it? Because that would be too convenient. Wow, 50 people. Holy cow, that's way more than viewers than I ever got on the Railroads Online streams. Dang, maybe I should just do this from now on. Oh, it's a non-runner. Yeah, honestly, you could just take the motor out and push it with something else. Oops. The camera that I'm using for the drive-in cam looks like it's about to die. Yeah, Isaac, I've heard about the big boy. I'm debating whether it's worth taking a road trip to go see it. Yeah, I don't want to worship the Church of Betsy. Chase, on the display track right now, I've got a Rivarossi Heisler. It does run, it's just very noisy. Maybe, before we put the E6 on, I'll take that for a lap. I should do a Workbench live stream. Thanks, Red Dead. Yeah, this is that Tsunami decoder that you sent me. I'm really pleased with it. Model Rail Fan, yeah, this is the one Bachmann used to make. I've done some detail work to this one, so it looks a little bit different. But it is the Bachmann Spectrum one. I'm just going to park it over here. Thanks, Model Rail Fan. Yeah, it's a Soundtrack Tsunami 2 decoder, and the speaker is just a generic sugar cube with a 3D printed enclosure. All right, main line. I'm going to take this off because if it's not on, there's no point in having it on the layout. And yeah, I guess we'll take the Heisler for a lap, probably just one. Switch that to DC. Yeah, silent cursing and dropping the tweezers on the floor. That should be the name of my band. I do like this Heisler. I do kind of want to build a logging branch for the layout at some point, just to have an excuse to run it. Rail Fanner speaker, it really depends on what fits. I'm a big fan of the Sugar Cube speakers. If you're doing an HO diesel, Scale Sound Systems has a bunch of really nice speakers that come with 3D printed enclosures. No, Chessie, I'm joking. I'm not a bad. I should be, but I'm not. Oh yeah, Seven's Whistle. I have to look up the East Broad Top one. Yeah, it does sound like a chainsaw. Honestly, I've just been using these generic Sugar Cube speakers that I found on Amazon. They seem to be pretty much identical to the ESU ones, but I mean, I would honestly still recommend just buying the ESU ones because they come with an enclosure. And they're not that much more expensive. Wawa, can't seem to get the shell to fully fit back on. The space is kind of tight in those because of the motor. I've successfully put DCC in them, but I've put a smaller can motor in it. IHC Mogul, the one that I reviewed I sold to Ricardo, but I do have another one that I'm working on. I guess I could show it. It doesn't run currently because it doesn't have a decoder in it. But as long as we're doing... I don't know why the handrails are bright yellow. That's just how it was when I got it. As long as we're doing sneak peeks of future projects, this is the IHC Mogul that I'm currently working on. It has the smoke box front off a Bachmann Decapod, which just happens to be exactly the right size. The tender is off of a Mantua 10-wheeler and has a 3D printed oil tank. I've been experimenting with some mild weathering techniques on this. It'll get a sound decoder soon-ish. I might try lock sound in this one. Austin, yeah, I was running a freight train recently, and I will be again soon, but I think we're going to run a passenger train first. Other thing is, if I run this Heisler for too long, I can start to smell the motor. So I try not to do that if I can help it. But let's run the Mantua Atlantic. Yeah, it does have kind of a Rio Grande NDM vibe. That's kind of what I was going for. Thanks, Austin. So this engine has a silent decoder in it at the moment. Let's see if I can even remember what the number is. There it goes. Now, the Mantua Atlantics didn't come with Walschaerts valve gear. I added that. That valve gear is off of a Mantua Pacific. Because I was trying to get it looking closer to a Penske E6, which I think is more or less what it's based off of. Open air excursion cars. I might have one of the Bachmann ones kicking around somewhere. I should get a full consist of them and put figures in. That'd be cool. Vintage Renew? No, I never got around to doing the Overton interiors. I'll do that soon. But it's one of many, many ongoing projects that I'm trying to juggle. $14 Canadian. Yeah, that sounds about typical for an ESU Sugar Cube. It is a little steep, but they're really nice speakers. If you can find the generic ones on Amazon, you can, and you have a 3D printer to make your own enclosures, then you can do that, but they might be more expensive in Canada than just getting the ESU one. Favorite railroad? Southern Pacific's cool. I don't know that I really have a favorite railroad because there's so many cool ones. I have always been partial to Southern Pacific. Turn a Bachmann 440 into a 422. Good luck finding room for a trailing truck on there. You might have to put a longer boiler on it. Oh, no, 422. I guess if you just take the rear driver off, you could probably make that work. But yeah, I think you're probably going to want to Dremel away part of the rear end of the frame to give the trailing truck room to swing. Montreal, Ricardo's a friend of mine. I think he's like Trains Mania or something on YouTube. He does mostly like train game content and stuff. But he's bought a few of my locomotives. He has, I think, 3 or 4 former Westport engines. NDM is super cool. They built some really interesting, like, quirky engines. They had like those. Was it them who had the giant 480s? Favorite diesel? I like RS1s. But I mean, the Santa Fe F units are kind of like the iconic greatest diesel of all time. So like, I feel like every other diesel that I like is second to those. But Alcos are cool, they've got a character. Shorten the frame and add a lateral trailing truck. Is it the old 440 with the motor and the tender, or the newer one? If it's the newer one, you should be able to mostly leave the wiring alone. 480s are so cool. I wish somebody would make like a Norfolk and Western, like Strasbourg 475, in really any scale. I think there's a brass one in O scale, but they're like $2,000. The Red Oak short cars, I think they're in the cabinet somewhere. I've been running, I got a set of Rio Grande ones, and I've been running those a lot lately. Oh, it is the newer one, okay. DCC sound in the Bachmann Lafayette, holy cow. I feel like, I don't know how you do that with other than having at least some of the stuff in a boxcar behind it. Yes, Sierra 3 has a 480. That was one of the sillier things that Mantua made, and they made a lot of silly things. I do think it would be cool to detail one of those up and try to make it look plausible. New York Central, Pennsylvania, Pacific, or Canadian Pacific. Oh man. I mean, I kind of like all of those. If I had to pick one, I don't know, I feel like Canadian Pacific has the most character. It had like some quirky and unusual stuff that you didn't see so much in the States. But, I mean, if you're doing like the Streamliner era, New York Central is the iconic ones. Austin Jensen, my Westport #1 is the Bachmann New Tooling 440. It's currently waiting on a decoder, but I'll have it up and running again soon. I'm going to keep the camera on this side of the layout because the drive-in theater is no longer working. Yeah, I think the DCC and sound would have to be in the coach. Yeah, maybe at the end of the stream I'll run the old tooling for I don't really know anything about Conrail stuff. I need to learn more about that. That's an era that I've never really investigated much. Train shows coming near you. If you're going to buy stuff, get cash beforehand because the ATMs at train, especially the busier train shows, frequently run out of cash. Or if you have to get it at the show, get it as early as possible. Take out like a couple $100 or however much you're willing to spend. Oh, the V&T 440. Yeah, I debated whether I want to reveal that on stream or wait for the video, but I should probably just reveal it on stream. TFFC. Also, keep eBay up on your phone when you're shopping for stuff and compare prices to what you can get the same item for on eBay, so to make sure you're getting a good deal. And look at sold listings, not the listings that are for sale. Austin Jensen, my #9. I don't currently have a #9, I don't think. I intentionally left some gaps in my numbering scheme to make room for more older locomotives. Oh, the 440 that was invested. Oh, the Holman Horror. Yes. Okay. One of these days for April Fools, I should make a model of that because that was a hilarious engine. Let me pull up a picture of that, actually. For those who don't know what we're talking about, this was a locomotive that was built in the 1890s. It was supposed to be like this fancy new invention that was going to revolutionize steam. And anyone with really any There's no audio? Hello? Can you hear me? Oh, the audio probably cut out when I switched to the browser. Is it back now? Okay, audio's back. Yeah, okay, that was my bad. I switched to a different OBS thing and lost the sound. Yeah, Red Dead is going to send the Red Dead 2 locomotive to me to get sound installed eventually. I think a bit more work needs to be done on it first. What era is it? It's kind of mixed era. I see it as like a tourist operation, like in the late 80s, early 90s. So I try to keep all the vehicles on the layout that era or earlier. Like if you watch like the Pentreks, like Great American Train Rides and stuff, it's that sort of era that I'm going for. Austin, my number 14 is... Which one is 14? Okay, oh yeah, 14 is the Proto 2000 USRA 060. Hello, Asher. What was I gonna run next? Oh, I was gonna run the freight train again. Oh, yeah, okay. Yeah, good night, Chessie. Alright, shall we reveal the other big project that I've been working on lately? So, some of you may know about this, but I have been working for several months on converting a Rivarossi 440 to not be tender drive. And here is the result. I did a custom paint job on it as well, obviously. But you will note there is a motor in there, and it has DCC and sound in the tender. Mixed, yeah, we can run a mixed train. Throw a couple of passenger cars on the front of the freight. But yeah, we can run this. This will get its own video soon. This was a very long and involved project. Probably the most I've internally modified a locomotive. And obviously I did some detail work on it too. But I'm pretty pleased with how it came out. So let me put this away. I'm just going to lift this off the track because the turntable isn't working at the moment. All right, and put this on. We'll run it with the freight train for now, and then maybe we'll do some passenger stuff in a bit. Hello, DLT. Isaac, I mean, yeah, I guess you can send me something. You can email me, redouttrains@gmail. If you send me something, I can't guarantee that I'll use it on the layout, but you're welcome to. Oh, camera's not on it. Asher, oh, the copyright's expired, so does that mean that it's free to use, or does he still own it? Austin, no, I don't really watch any sports. Thanks, Red Dead. Yeah, I'm quite pleased with how this turned out. And it honestly runs amazingly well for being as much custom built as it is. Make sure the switches are set right. So I do have a video coming out soon on this. It's like 80% filmed. I am eventually going to letter this Westport. I haven't gotten around to it yet. It is currently still Virginia and Truckee, but since it's based on kind of a mishmash of Virginia and Truckee prototypes, I feel like that's fine. But yeah, I'm quite proud of this. I've been working on this longer than any of these other projects that I've showed today. Okay, now I can reach out again. Oh, Model Rail fan? Yeah, this is my custom Rivarossi 440. I've converted it to not be a tender drive anymore, so the motor's now in the engine, which was a huge amount of work. Don't really recommend attempting it. Probably not worth the effort. Just get the Bachmann one. But I did manage to do it, and it actually works pretty well. So, if you want a really challenging project, this is not the worst one. Oh, Asher, you're Crazy Spud. Well, welcome back. I didn't realize you were the same person. Yes, I did hear about the Bachmann Shays. I actually saw one at the Amherst show. They look pretty good. I'm hoping that the gears don't have the issue they used to have. That one Canadian edit dude, sorry to disappoint, I have no plans to do any Thomas-related stuff. Dimensions of the layout are 7 by 8 feet overall. The curves are 18-inch radius. The largest locomotive that I have, I mean, I assume we were talking HO scale. What is the largest locomotive that I have? I don't know, does about half of a dismantled Rivarossi Big Boy in the scrap box count? Honestly, the largest locomotive I have is probably either the Atlantic or the Bachmann 280 at the moment. I don't really have a lot of large engines because this layout doesn't really suit them. Alright, Austin, yeah, if half of a Rivarossi Big Boy in the scrap box counts, then that's the largest locomotive I have. I don't think I have enough parts to put it back together, unfortunately. Yeah, one of these days I'll get around to making a review on the Mantua Atlantic. I've had it for a couple of years and I've just never gotten around to it. Any other named passenger trains? I don't know. The Cannonball was kind of a holdover from my old Red Oak layout. I just changed the name, but it's the same train. I don't know. I thought about doing like a Shelter Cove Flyer or something, but I feel like having more than one passenger train on such a small layout, it gets a bit confusing. Oh, Bachmann's old type passenger cars. They are kind of big. I mean, I feel like that's kind of realistic. Like, if you look at pictures of 19th century trains, the passenger cars dwarf the engine. I think, I have a couple of the Bachmann ones here. I do think these might be very slightly overscale, but I have also seen some pretty big 19th century passenger cars that just look absolutely enormous next to the engines. Austin, I have a feeling you meant to type the Westport Limited, but it auto-corrected to the Westport Limeade, which is just... that's very funny. Sure, we'll call it the Westport Limeade. Ooh, trains in the photos in the style of builders photos. That'd be cool. The Newport Seagull. If I had a town called Newport. Oh, the biggest engines to visit my layout. I reviewed an Athearn Big Boy back when I worked for BC Hobbies. The layout was under construction, so there was no scenery, but it was the same layout. So that's definitely the biggest engine that's visited it. It just barely made it around the 18-inch radius curves. Yeah, if you want to see a really wacky custom diesel, check out the S&P mainline one. Oh, the Tyco 280. I actually was attempting that some years ago. I was talking earlier about that, where I was trying to use one of these Bachmann 70-tonners. I was trying to put the frame from this under the Tyco Chattanooga tender frame. Torpedo Cove. See, that just makes it sound like the site of a World War II battle. Which might be kind of interesting. Yeah, Shelter Cove Limited might work. It would actually. I feel like that's got to be an in-joke now on the channel. That like the Westport Limeade. Okay, we'll have to make something up of that. Oh yeah, Royal Hudson. Not as big as the Big Boy, but that was a nice model. I think that might have... was that the first review that I did of a train for BC Hobbies? I can't remember. River Runner's not bad. Black Ridge and Western sounds cool. I like that. I'm trying to think of a name for the O gauge layout too. I'm thinking of TFFC. Yeah, there was a. I did do a BLI Challenger. That's probably the biggest engine that's been on this layout since it got scenery. That was on the BC Hobbies channel as well. Westport Limeade. Yeah, the signature drink. There you go. Okay. Next stream, I should try and like make some actual limeade and have that be like the official drink of these live streams. Yeah, I need to think of a name for the O gauge layout. Something that sounds New Englandy. I'm thinking I'll go with like the same pattern that I used for Westport, where I just picked a bunch of towns that are used multiple times, like town names that appear multiple times in the area that I'm modeling, so that it sounds right, but it's not any specific location. So for this one, I don't know. I was thinking names like Bridgewater and Hudson, something like that. That sounds kind of New Englandy. Thank you, Red. Yeah, I would like to do an O gauge one, maybe once I get some scenery in place, and obviously once I get G-scale set up, I'd like to do that as well. For now, I think I'll probably stick to this layout because the O gauge one is still very unfinished. The Tyco 280 thing, I never finished that project because the 70-tonner that I bought had some issues. It wasn't running well enough. So I kind of gave up on it halfway through. But at some point, now that I have another 70-tonner, if I don't turn that into a Sumter Valley engine, Maine and Hudson Eastern, that's not bad. Yeah, I'll have to do some workshopping on it. The other thing is I don't want to accidentally use the same name as a real short line, because there were a lot of little short lines. Or somebody else's fictional railroad. I don't want to step on anybody else's name. So I'll figure something out. I like the name Bridgewater, but it is a pretty large town in Massachusetts, so I feel like a lot of people are going to assume it's that one. Yeah, the F7 does look a little out of place. I just have it on there because I like it. It doesn't really fit the mood, but I mean, I like it too much to not have it. Boston, Niagara Falls, that's not bad. Massachusetts and Hudson Eastern, that could work. So here's the thing with the O gauge layout. I don't want to uproot any of the track I've already laid, but I have an idea. I do have a little bit of room behind the main lines, between the main lines and where the backdrop is going to go. So I'm thinking I'll have a street back there and have an ON30 line that's like embedded in the street. So I can use it as a trolley line, or I can run steam engines back and forth in like an auto reversing situation. And I might even be able to tunnel the wall into the closet so they can actually fully disappear off the layout at one end. Yeah, Gilded Rail. One of the many rules of HLA is to have one more bonnet F unit. Technically, I feel like that applies to O-scale as well, and I do have an O-scale one, but it's the Menards blue version, which that was briefly a paint scheme that the Santa Fe used, but only for a couple of years. I should do a video on that too. I feel like I have a bunch of O-gauge engines I want to do videos on, but I've been putting it off because there's no scenery on that layout yet, so I feel like it wouldn't really be a very nice looking background. But once I get a little bit of scenery down, I've got so many O-gauge reviews to do. TFFC Forney locomotives, yeah, those are super cool. I actually have an ON30 Forney stashed away. I'll probably use it on that auto reversing line if I end up building it. Let me dig it out here. Don't mind me just dropping stuff everywhere. Set of I do like PAs. They're a bit long for these curves. I did have an FA for a while. I ended up selling it to Peter. But, yeah. Nope, I'm holding it up to the wrong camera. Here we go. Forney. Boom. Maybe I'll use that for like a street running narrow gauge railway. I think this one needs a little bit of work. Last time I ran it, it was very noisy. Nice thing about having my shelf for train storage directly above my desk is I can just grab all of these, and then they can all fall down and make a mess. Tidewater in Eastern is cool. Are there multiple towns in New England called Tidewater? I'll have to look that up, but I do like that. I want to have a town ending in water. There's one in Oregon, apparently. Yeah, I really like Tidewater, actually. I might do something with that. I mean, I've always been partial to logging railroads because I grew up in an area that used to have a lot of them. I mean, mining railroads had some cool stuff, too. 6-wheel bogey diesels on the layout. I'm not sure if I've tried it, actually. I imagine shorter wheelbase ones would probably be okay. Something really long, like a Gevo, would probably not work too well. But I imagine I could probably squeeze an SD40 around these curves if I had to. Robert, no 3260. That'd be cool. Yeah, I mean, if you don't want anything for it, certainly you're welcome to send it my way. I can knock a few bucks off the bill for your for the current project in exchange. A mocktail mixologist. Yeah, see what you can come up with. Only thing is, I have to be very careful about sugar because I have hypoglycemia. But I'm sure I can find a substitute. Oops. Asher, if you hit the dislike button again, it should undo it. Sugar Pine Railroad. No, I haven't kept up with the news on that. 130. Tyco 460. It's an 130 Eureka. Now this is the sort of idea that I like because it's just plausible enough to make me spend several hours researching whether it would work. My only concern is that the overall wheelbase might not be right, but it might be right. You know what? Actually, Robert, as long as you're watching the stream, here's an update on your 10-wheeler. I got the motor installed. I haven't painted up the new boiler yet, but I got the motor mounted. I hooked power up to it. It runs pretty smooth, so this should be a nice runner once we get it put together. Anyway, that's the progress report on that. But actually, what I'm gonna do, let me measure the wheelbase on this real quick, or the approximate wheelbase, and see how close it is to the Eureka. So that's gonna be, well, let's see. The pilot truck's not on here, so it's not really ideal. Actually, well, let me look up the Eureka wheelbase, because now I'm intrigued by this idea. Let's see if this is... Of course, Wikipedia doesn't have it, because we're looking. Alright, this is somebody on a forum from 16 years ago, so we're going to go with that, because that's the only info I can find. Total wheelbase, 18 foot 7 inches. Rigid wheelbase, 7 foot 6 inches. So what's that in O scale? So 7 foot 6, 84, so 90... So that's about 1.875 inches. I'm just going to measure this here on the Mantua model. That's a little bit short. 1.365 inches. So, Red Dead, unfortunately, I don't think that would work in O scale, but it might work in like SN 3.5. I always thought that was an interesting scale. Actually, let's find out. 90 inches divided by 64. 1.4. That's pretty close. Yeah, I would say in SN 3.5, the Tyco chassis would just about scale out right for the Eureka. Could even potentially do a Glenbrook with all 6 wheels in there. The chuff. You know what? Yeah. Well, I mean, the chuffs do get a bit repetitive. I can mute them. But yeah, they do get a bit repetitive over time. Hello, James. Oh, speaking of going to sleep, I might wrap up the stream in the next half hour or so. I'm getting pretty tired. Model rail fan, yeah. I've gone back and forth over the years between the Power Cab and the Digitrax Zephyr. Lately, I've been preferring the Power Cab. The only thing that I really dislike about the Power Cab is that scroll wheel. I actually took it out of this one and just put a blanking piece of styrene in the hole. I never used it anyway, I just used the buttons. The main thing I liked about the Digitrax was that it had a knob there, but I got a couple of these NCE throttles that have the knob, so that kind of solves that problem. So since I got these, I haven't really used the Digitrax much. I don't know, I might use it for something eventually, but I've kind of been gravitating more towards NCE, because Digitrax just has all sorts of weird little programming things and glitches that I don't like as much. Griffin, yes, it's HO scale. James, yeah, anyone can hire me to put DCC and stuff. I usually, well, sometimes charge a little bit less for friends, but my regular rates are usually, well, I mean, it varies depending on the locomotive, but usually in the $100 to $150 range per locomotive labor. It's usually basically about whatever the parts cost is, roughly double that, and that'll probably be the total cost. The labor and parts usually end up being about the same amount. But if you have a specific project in mind, email me and we can talk about it. It's redoaktrains@gmail.com. Engine on the turntable is the Prairie that we were running earlier. It's the Mantua Prairie that I've been fixing up, and I put sound and stuff in it. We can run that again. Oops. We've had our first collision of the stream, surprisingly. Model rail fan, yeah, the Power Cab's good stuff. Blue Nami, I like Blue Nami. I would like it more if they like sold a physical controller for the Bluetooth aspect of it, but I think they are planning on doing that eventually. Don't quote me on that though. How long did it take to build? I worked on and off on this for a couple of years to get it to this point. I think I started this layout back in 2020 during quarantine, but it was pretty much in a finished state after probably 2-3-ish years. I don't know, I'd have to go back to my old videos and look at the upload dates. Yeah, the derail counter for models. Technically we haven't derailed yet. We just ran into the back of a train, but it didn't derail. So the derail counter would still be at 0. Current favorite diesel on my layout or in general? That's a... Oh, you know what? I do have the sound thing.
That's a fender bender.
I don't know if you can hear it, but I have it. Blunami, yeah. I've done a video comparing Blunami to Airwire, which was an older system that did a similar thing. And I came out of that actually liking Blunami a lot more than I expected to. And I like that you can still use them as regular DCC decoders. Griffin, the whistle is a Southern Pacific 6-chime. Dakota, the grass is just Woodland Scenics turf. I think it's the green blend on top of the earth blend. Okay, wait, what did you guys hear? The fender bender? Okay, good, because I wasn't sure if you could hear that, because I can't hear it on the speaker. Favorite diesel on the rail? On my layout, it's not quite ready for a video yet, but I like this little Atlas Alco switcher thingy that I've been tinkering with. Right now it only has a silent decoder in it. Favorite steam right now is probably this Prairie, but it's different every day because I have a lot of steam engines that I like. Bachmann 282, like the USRA one, the newer Blue Box one. That should be pretty easy. Craftsman kits. I built a couple of the wood ones a while back. I kind of prefer working with plastic though. Club brand power cabs. Yeah, honestly, if people ask what's the best DCC system to get NC or Digitrax, the answer is whatever your local club uses. Because like they both, it's Ford versus Chevy. They both work fine. They both have their pros and cons. Everybody's got their preference, but it's much easier, especially if you're going to be part of the club, to just use the same thing that everybody else is using, because then you can share parts, you get used to the way that a certain system works, etc. Static grass, yeah, Peter's been trying to talk me into doing static grass in the layout. I might do it at some point. I don't want to drastically change how it looks, but Peter did static grass on his layout, and it looks really, really great. Favorite railroad in the northeastern area? There's a lot to choose from. New York Central's pretty cool. I like the paint scheme on Boston, Maine. Or, not Boston, Maine? Yeah, or no. Boston and Albany. I always get those two mixed up. Oh, and I like B&O. Honestly, I feel like I'm leaning towards B&O, Baltimore and Ohio being my favorite one, because I went to the B&O Museum and that was really cool. And they have a lot of cool preserved 19th century stuff. Oh, Peter, what a coincidence. Yeah, I should do some static grass on here at some point. I think that would probably help make it look more Pacific Northwest. And I should also add some evergreen trees. I put deciduous trees over here before I decided to have pines on the backdrop. And honestly, it's probably not the worst thing, because not having them be the same type of trees makes it less obvious that one's 2-dimensional and one's 3-dimensional. And I mean, the Pacific Northwest does have both deciduous and evergreens. But I do feel like the deciduous trees kind of contribute to it looking more eastern. Yeah, Boston Albany, you could go. Southern Pacific GS4, yeah, those are cool. I think Bachmann has upgraded theirs recently. I think they should be pretty good now. Red Dead, I did actually, one of the first O gauges I got was one of the Lion Chief 080s. And I had a Lion Chief RS3 for a while as well. They're nice. The older Lion Chief stuff is pretty limited in what you can do with it. The newer stuff is closer to basically being Legacy Light. James, I do these live streams most Tuesday nights at 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Every now and then I'll skip a week because I have other stuff going on. But usually it's Tuesday nights that I do these. I always announce, or I try to always announce them ahead of time in a post on the channel. So keep an eye out for that. But yeah, Lion Chief, it's good stuff. It's decent. I like that, or I liked it better when they included a controller with each one. The newer ones, I seem like they don't do that. Hello, Paco. Hello to everyone in Argentina. I hope you're having a good evening, or whatever time it is there. Yeah, Lion Chief's pretty good. It's basic, but it does everything you need it to do. Yeah, O-Gauge is kind of addictive, honestly. Like, I always wanted to get into O-Gauge. I just didn't have room for it until we moved into this house. So now I have basically the whole attic to myself to fill up with trains. So I put the Westport in this room, O-Gauge in the other room. Model Railfan, the older Bachmann GS4s were pretty crappy. I think the newer ones are an improvement, but I haven't tried one, so I can't say for sure. I know I have run one on this layout, and they do not take 18-inch radius curves. I think Bachmann says 22-inch is the minimum for them, which is understandable for such a big engine. Gilded Rail, yeah, there's a clunk with each revolution that I haven't found the source of yet on this engine. I think it's just old Mantua things. I might try swapping the front and rear driver sets and see if that solves it, because it seemed to start happening after I took them out to paint them and put them back in, so I think I might have swapped them. So I might try that. Historical documentaries, yeah, I enjoy those. I've watched a fair number of them. It's one of those things where, like, if I was going to watch all the ones that I think look interesting, I would never have time to do anything else, so I have to pick and choose what I watch. But, yeah, I enjoy them from time to time. Oh, the Bachmann GS4s are very lively. Interesting. I didn't have... The one that I ran on this layout, I was just fixing for someone, so I didn't have... I only had it for like 2 days, so I didn't really have time to put it through its paces, and I couldn't have anyway because it wouldn't go around the curves. I was just fixing the wire plugs on it. I did a video on that. But yeah, 7 car, a 484 should be able, like, this Prairie will probably only handle about 7 cars, but it's this tiny little nugget of an engine. So that's kind of understandable, but a 484 should be able to pull pretty much anything you can throw at it. 7 cars is not very impressive for a 484. If it's big enough to not be able to take 18-inch radius curves, it should at least pull well. But yeah, the clunking is kind of noticeable. Maybe I'll swap this out with something else. Maybe I'll run that Southern 280. We haven't run that yet. I don't think I have seen that video. Bachmann Decapod. Oh yeah, a lot of, like, the Bachmann Spectrum ones, some of them had, like, weirdly weak motors that would fail after a while. The 280s didn't. Those have I think, a Mishima can motor. But the ones that use Bachmann's in-house motors tend to go through motors. The 460 and the 440 are like that, and that's the only thing I really don't like about them, is that they do tend to eat motors. I actually recently had to replace the one in my 440. I thought that it was just the newer Blue Box ones that were like that, but it turns out it's all of them. Yeah, the Bachmann 280s are really solid. I'm not really sure what the plan is for this one. It came to me very cheap with a lot of zinc rot, so I had to replace the whole frame. And I had 2 other ones. Actually, there are some parts in here from the one that I turned into a Prairie all those years ago. I think, like, I'm not sure exactly what all's in there. I think one of the driver axles is from that engine. So, in a way, the Prairie lives on in this. An aux tender, I mean, those are neat, but I don't really see the use for one on a small short line like this. Bachmann's Modern 440, it's decent. I mean, it's less detailed than the Spectrum one, but for a fairly basic small steam engine, there's really nothing wrong with it. Yeah, if you can get one for a good price, definitely go for it. I went on a whole rant a couple of years ago in a video about how they downgraded the motor in the newer version because it was a 3-pole, and I had a distinct memory of the ones in the Spectrum being a 5-pole. But when I was replacing the one in my 440 recently, which uses the same motor as the 460, I took apart the old one, and it turned out it was always a 3-pole. Like, it's like almost, it feels like a Mandela effect thing where, like, I could swear that in the Bachmann catalog it said 5-pole, but no, I went back to the old Bachmann catalog, it never said 5-pole. It was always a 3-pole. I don't know where I got the idea that it was a 5-pole. Model Railroader magazine's review of it did say it was a 5-pole, but it turns out that they were incorrect about that. So the 3-pole one in the newer one is actually the exact same as it's always been. So, I mean, it's still not the greatest motor in the world, but it's fine. I mean, after a few years of heavy use, you may have to replace it, but you think you can still order it from the Bachmann Parts Department. Maroon 35. Yes, that is a horrible joke, but I appreciate horrible jokes. And actually, it's funny that you make that joke now, because the other day I was in traffic, and there were 2 of these, you know those little, like, Polaris, like, 3-wheeled cars that have the 2 wheels in the front and the 1 wheel in the back, the most ridiculous looking things ever. There were 2 of those with, like, the exact sort of guy that you'd expect to drive one, like, bald, wraparound sunglasses, absolutely blasting Maroon 5 so loud that, like, people blocks away could hear it. Like, window rattling volume. And the thing, there were 2 of them, one right behind the other, and they were blasting 2 different Maroon 5 songs. So it was just absolute chaos, and I was just like, you know what? Like, I like genuinely don't know what the appropriate opinion to have about this is. Like, it's kind of obnoxious, but it's also just objectively hilarious. Eddie, I did not see that email, but I haven't checked my email today, so let me take a look at that right now. No, I don't see it. Let me see if it ended up in my spam folder. No, I don't see it. You may have to send it again. Are you sure you got the right address? It's redoaktrains@gmail.com. Yeah, Model Rail fan. It is a bit overpriced, but you can usually find them pretty cheap. I'd say if you pay less than $200 for one, you're doing all right. Yeah, the Proto 060 is pretty cool. It's not running right now because it's having decoder issues. Maybe, hopefully I'll get it put back together in time for the next stream. Yeah, they blur music so you can hear the bass a mile away. I always wondered about that because, like, that can't possibly be pleasant inside the car. What is the point of that besides just annoying people? Like, are they completely and utterly deaf and that's the only way they can hear it? Eddie, double check the email address. And or try sending it again. Railfanner, yeah, it had WoW Sound at one point. I took the WoW Sound decoder out of it to use in something else. I think that might actually be the one that's in number 8 now. I don't remember. I've had a few of those kicking around. I wasn't super happy with how it sounded, so I'm thinking I might put lock sound in it instead. Model Rail fan, I don't think that's an unpopular opinion. I totally agree with that. It's very annoying. If I'm playing music in my car, if people in other cars can hear it, it's too loud. For the 250 celebrations, probably not. I don't know. I can't really think of anything special that I want to do. Honestly, a lot of holidays I tend to forget about until they've already passed. I've been trying to get more into Halloween, though. Last year, I turned my old Camry into a DeLorean time machine for Halloween, and Peter and I dressed up as Doc and Marty. We did a little skit in a video with that. That was fun. Kato C12. I'll have to look that up. I'm not familiar with that. Oh, interesting. Yeah, those look nice. Kato makes good stuff. I mean, I don't really have I don't have any experience with their steam engines, but they have a good reputation for quality. Yeah, I can definitely understand the appeal of heavy bass. Yeah, the C12 I think is Japanese. It just cracks me up when I hear people blaring really loud music from something that's like a convertible or like a motorcycle or one of those three-wheeled things. Because, like, at that point, like, other people are probably hearing it better than the person in the vehicle is. C12 looks like it's a 262. Anyway, I'm not here to judge people for how they like to listen to their music, but I do find it a bit annoying if they're playing it so loud that I can hear it in my car. Hello, Alaska Railroad guy. Yeah, hook up a subwoofer to the lab. That would actually be pretty cool. Broadway Limited tried to do that with their Rolling Thunder system, but their sound quality is just not good enough to pull it off. But I did once hook up a sound decoder to like a set of big house speakers, and it sounded awesome. Yeah, Griffin, I feel like good music it's one of those things where everybody has their own taste. Like, I personally am partial to AC/DC, but I can definitely understand why somebody wouldn't want to listen to it, because it can be a bit grating if that's not what you're into. So, like, the only time that I'll play music loud in my car is if, like, the windows are up and I'm not sitting in stop-and-go traffic next to somebody else. And even then, there's a limit on the volume that I can tolerate. My ears are pretty sensitive. Hello, Randall. Although I'll admit today I was driving home in an absolutely torrential thunderstorm, and I had to blast "Ain't No Love in Oklahoma" from the Twisters movie. It just seemed to suit the situation. Alright, well, I might start winding up the stream pretty soon. Just for goofs, maybe we should run the Bachmann Old Tooling 440 if it'll actually work. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. Depends what kind of mood it's in. But I'm starting to get tired. I'll let the 280 come around again, and then I'll back the freight train into the yard. We'll have to run the 440 with the Bachmann passenger cars, because they're the only thing I have that's got corn hook couplers on it. Okay, Eddie, let me take a look. Ah, there it is. Okay, Eddie, it came through the second time. It did end up in my spam folder, but I have moved it out of there. So Yeah, I don't know why it didn't work the first time, but it seems to have gone through now, so thanks. I'll read that in a little bit and reply to it. Oh, drummer. Yeah, drums are cool. One day I want to learn how to play an instrument. That's on my bucket list. I don't know what instrument I want to play. Randall, honestly, DCC on board, in my opinion, doesn't add any value to Bachman Steamers because their DCC is, the decoders are so crappy. If I get something DCC on board, I just consider that to be DCC ready, and I'll put something else in it. But yeah, the Southern 280s are nice. They come up for sale pretty often. Red Dead, no, my switches are just manual. They're Pico switches, so they snap from one side to the other. So I literally just manually flip them back. Oh, you can't see on the camera. I literally just manually flip them back and forth. I don't even have ground throws. I do have ground throws on the O-gauge layout, but I didn't bother with them on here. Oh, actually, this is a good opportunity to mention something else. We'll probably make a video about this too. But if you ever see these in the grocery store, these little tooth cleaner things, these work brilliantly for uncoupling KD couplers. These work better than anything else I've tried. Ooh, last day of school tomorrow. Congratulations. $50? Yeah, that's pretty good. I think that's about what I paid for this one, but this one needed a lot. All right, let's run that janky old 440 and then we'll call it a night. Good night, Griffin. Have a good one. This shall be interesting. Yeah, we'll see. We'll see if this even works. It's pretty finicky. All right, moment of truth. Here we go. Well, it sounds like it's sawing a barrel full of bees in half, but it works. Oops, I forgot about that. I will say this is the best running one of these I've ever encountered. Honestly, it might be the only running one of these I've ever encountered. I've had a number of them pass through my possession, and this is the only one that actually came even close to working properly. Hello, Three Rivers Rambler. You can always go back and watch the VOD of the stream later. I always leave those public. Oh, the Bachman man. I should do that. I will probably try and do a John Railroadson cosplay from Railroads Online. Yeah, I mean, there are people who like make a whole hobby out of fixing these 440s up. But it's definitely not for the faint of heart. And yeah, the poacher ones were definitely better. I actually have one of those here as well. We could run that too. These were slightly overscaled, but they were so much better built, it's not even funny. Yeah, the poacher ones later became the Rivarossi ones. I think the poacher, like the model train division, got absorbed into Rivarossi. I'm researching that for my video on my custom Rivarossi one. But yeah, let's try the poacher one. It should at least be smoother, if not quieter. Yeah, it's quieter and smoother. And it's, you know, like 20 years older. Yeah, the Mantua ones are nice. I'm working on fixing up one of those as well. I would say the new Bachmann ones are the best, followed by the old Rivarossi ones, and then the old Bachmann ones. With the Mantua ones probably on par with the old Rivarossi ones. Red Dead, yes, I do have a TARDIS in town. It's slightly overscale. I think it's actually a Christmas ornament. TGM, no, I don't think the drive shafts are the same, unfortunately. Did Bachmann seriously use the AHM1 for their advertising? Dang, that's... So at least they were aware that theirs sucked, but that's both funny and sad. I feel like that can't be legal. Yeah, I do have a TARDIS. You can see there where the hook for the Christmas tree used to go. I don't remember which version of the TARDIS this is. My favorite era of Doctor Who is definitely like the Peter Capaldi era, like Series 9 and 10. But I'm not sure if this is his TARDIS or not. Yeah, Three Rivers. These 440s, I think, are like 10 or 15% oversized. They're still well within the range of plausibility for like an 1870s 440, but the stack kind of spoils it. That's why I put a smaller stack and headlight on my custom one. Model Railfan, yeah, the Bachmann ones, even the old Bachmann ones, are smaller and correctly scaled, as are the new ones. If we put them next to each other, you can see the difference, because they are based on the exact same prototype. Yeah, the Mahano ones were the exact same tooling as the Rivarossi ones. But like, if we put these both on the track, you can see. Let me get the camera close. But yeah, same prototype, but noticeable size difference. But if you put a smaller stack and headlight on the Rivarossi one, then it does make a pretty plausible 1870s 440, like my custom one that I did here. And there are some prototypes that this scales out for almost perfectly. The 240 that they made, the JW Bowker, is a little bit more difficult because that one is much more oversized. That one actually scales out to almost exactly S scale rather than HO. So you would have to find a prototype of a really humongous 240 to make that work. It would work pretty well for an SN 3.5 Montezuma, though. Thank you. Yeah, I have a video in the works on the custom. I converted it to not be tender drive, so it actually has a motor in here now, and did a full custom paint job and swapped out some details. The headlight is an MDC part. The stack, I think, is also an MDC part. There's parts from all three different generations of these 440s in here. There's some of it is the Poacher one, some of it's the Rivarossi one, some of it's the Mahano one. Most of the parts are shared, but there are some minor differences. So I've got bits and pieces from all of them in here. And the tender trucks are off of a Mantua General. So yeah, that'll be in a video soon. But if you want to see it running, you can rewind the stream a little bit because I did have it running earlier. Yeah, Mahano did also make a more modern 440 that was based on the Southern Pacific Mogul that they also made. They just took the front axle off and gave it a four-wheel leading truck. And that was a decent engine. It did actually have a prototype. The Southern Pacific did have some huge 440s that shared the same boiler and cab as the 260s. Oh, yeah, in Canada. See, I lived in Canada for like 8 years, and it's not just Rivarossi 440s. Literally everything up there, especially anything that you have to mail order, is stupidly expensive. Yeah, the newer Bachmann ones don't have a drive shaft. They have the motor in the engine itself, which is actually what inspired my Rivarossi build here. I was like, well, if they can do it, why can't I do it? And I didn't think I could do it, but I did. But yeah, the new Bachmann ones are just completely so much better than the old Bachmann ones. It's a night and day difference. The new Bachmann ones are like properly really nice. Anyway, folks, it is getting on toward midnight here. I think I'm going to wrap up the stream. Thank you all for watching. Thank you all for hanging out and chatting. $100 Canadian for a Mantua Atlantic. That's good. Yeah, I'll probably do this again next Tuesday night, so be sure to tune in again. As always, I don't like having to ask people to like and subscribe, but I feel like as a YouTuber, that's what I'm kind of obligated to do, so please like and subscribe. Thanks everybody for watching. Brush your teeth, eat your vegetables. Don't jump into volcanoes unless you want to. And have a good week.